Good morning, YouTube. Today, we're gonna straight pipe this Ferrari 458.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, this is my garage, and this channel is all about the supercar ownership experience, buying and selling them, maintaining them, DIY work on them, and even modifications to them. And today, we're gonna install these test pipes from S-Line, and it's gonna sound glorious. I already have the S-Line X-Pipe exhaust system on this car, so basically, once we do this, we have the factory headers, cat deletes, these test pipes, and then an X-Pipe. No valves, no things to go wrong, nothing to break, and it should sound absolutely epic. It's going to be glorious. So I am so excited about this. It's going to be amazing. So right away, everyone's going to say, hey, wait a minute. If you remove the catalytic converters, aren't you going to get a check engine light? And the answer is yes, but there are ways to solve that problem. So first of all, we got to understand, what does the rear O2 sensors in these cars do? So basically, all it's there to do is say, hey, is the catalytic converter working? All the tune on the engine comes from the primary O2 sensors, the ones that are in the front, that are in the headers usually. So the ones that are behind the catalytic converters aren't really doing a whole lot. You can tune them out. So that is one solution, is you actually get a tune and basically have it say, ignore these O2 sensors, don't throw a code. Another solution is you get an O2 extender. Basically, this is just a pipe and it takes the O2 sensor and pulls it out of the direct path of the exhaust. And the way that that's supposed to work is the temperature should be low enough that it says, hey, these catalytic converters are working or whatever. The final solution, which is pretty much guaranteed to work, is you actually buy these little mini catalytic converters. So this actually has catalysts in it. It basically makes the O2 sensor say, hey, there is still a catalytic converter. Everything's good to go. We're ready to rock and roll. Back when I installed the S-Line exhaust of this car, I read the decibels and kind of figured out about how much its sound changed once we installed them. So I'm gonna start the car, we're gonna record the decibels, and that way we can record it again once we pull the cats to see how much of a difference it makes. This is not the factory exhaust, this is with an S-Line X-Pipe exhaust, so there's no valves or anything like that. It's still gonna be loud, it's actually gonna be slightly quieter than stock with the valves open, but it should be pretty good. And then once we put in these cat deletes, it's gonna be epic. Okay, so I've got my decibel meter exactly 6 feet away from the back of the car, so we're gonna start up and see what sort of reading we get. Alright, we're gonna let it warm up and see what it sounds like once it gets to the warm idle. It should drop down to about 850 RPMs or so. The tone will come down, the sound should come down a bit. There we go. Alright, so it's come down onto the warm idle and it's about 85 decibels. So the peak decibel was a little bit higher, obviously. So we'll see how it does once we got the cat deletes in there. Okay, so looking at the top of the car, you can see that's the catalytic converter right there. So in order to get to it, we're gonna have to pull off this side panel. Then we're gonna have to pull off the wheel liners so that we can get to the actual bolts on the catalytic converter. And we're also gonna need to undo the diffuser. That way we can get access to where the catalytic converters connect to the actual exhaust, which is sitting back here. Now the panels are off, you can see the bolts that hold the catalyst to the mount. So we need to get those mount brackets off right there. We may have to pull off this bracket as well. I'm not 100% sure. I think I might just pull it off just to give us more room anyway. I think it's just gonna make it a whole lot easier to get in there. Now I gotta get the diffuser off. So since I have access to the bolts and the connection right now, I'm going to spray some penetrating oil on it so it's easier to deal with in a little bit, because these compression fittings are going to be a bitch to get off later. So now we gotta take off the wheel houses, as they call them. So it's just a bunch of 4mm hex bolts, and then basically right there is the catalytic converter. So on this wheelhouse, there's actually this weird sensor box that has some sort of vacuum line, so you gotta pop that sucker off. There, jeez. Alright, so you can see there's the catalytic converter, and then just on the other side back there is where the exhaust kind of meets up. So we're gonna have to futz around with this thing and get it popped out. So we're trying to get this clamp loose off of the catalytic converter. It's a 13mm socket, and of course, because I warmed up the car, it is hot as hell in there. Why they put it on the inside is beyond me. That makes it really, really hard to get to. There we go. All right, it's gotta get the O2 sensor loose if we can get to it. Kind of in a horrible position. Oh boy. Whew, got the O2 sensor. Okay. There we go. There. There it is. Okay, got the cat out finally. So now we get to shove in a test pipe. Let's see about getting this in there. Alright, let's get this clamp on there. Okay, got the left side done, so we're gonna swap over to the right.
2 hours later.
Okay, just got the second one in, and let me tell you, the one on the passenger side is much harder than the one on the driver's side. So I would learn the lessons on the driver's side, then go on the passenger side. Part of it's because there's the coolant overflow tank right there, and then there's an extra heat shield, so you got way less clearance. They are in there. So let's button up and then fire this sucker up. And I probably look, I'm all, yeah, just whatever. Well, those are out. Test pipes are in, and it just started raining like crazy. I may have to wait a little bit because I can't set the decibel meter outside when it's raining. It'll probably ruin the decibel meter, so I'm gonna wait for it to calm down, and then we'll do the startup and get the sound and all that stuff. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for the rain, go to S-Line and buy some of their exhausts. They have amazing exhausts. If you go to bit.ly/NGS- S-Line, and then mention my channel when you buy something, you're gonna get a discount of 10% off. These test pipes are pretty cheap. I think they might even be the cheapest on the market, and they're handmade here in the USA, so the quality is excellent. They fit right in. Oh man, I can't wait. So let's fire this sucker up in just a minute. Man, look at that crap. So another thing to note is I started working these at about noon, and it's now 6 o'clock. So it took me about 6 hours. Keep in mind, I already had the wheels off because my wheels are out getting refinished. So yeah, it's gonna take you a little while, but not too bad. Well, I'm pretty dirty. Let's get cleaned up, and then we'll start this car up once the rain stops. Ah yes, time to celebrate with a beer. Since we're all stuck and can't really go anywhere with the whole lockdown and whatever, I don't know what's going on with your state, or where you are, but here in Texas, we can't really go out a whole lot. So I bought a bunch of local beer to help support a local brewery that we're big fans of. So we're not drinking my normal Miller Lite. We're drinking some North by Northwest, which is our favorite restaurant. Cheers. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. If you're ever in Austin, you need to go North by Northwest. They're my favorite, seriously. We go there so often. All right, well, it's slowed down quite a bit. It's still drizzling a bit, so I'm not going to set the camera outside. I'm going to set the camera kind of over here, but I'll still get the decibel meter out 6 feet, and then we'll fire the sucker up. And, oh, and don't forget, because it's a brand new exhaust components, there's going to be some smoke, so don't freak out. My car is not catching on fire. So I just realized because we pulled the cats, it's going to change the fuel mapping. So I'm going to pull the battery and let the ECU reset. So I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes and then we'll plug it back in and then let the computer recalibrate. So I think that's a good, smart move at this point. So the reason I could kind of tell that it was pulling timing is I tapped the gas a little bit and it didn't rev like it normally does. It wasn't very fast. It was real slow. Yeah, so I pulled the battery. We're going to sit here for a good 5 minutes or so, let the ECU reset. We'll plug it in. Then when you start it, we're going to let it sit at idle for a while. Also, before we start the car, we're going to turn the key for it and let it sit for a good 30-40 seconds and let it recalibrate. All right, waited 5 minutes, pulled the battery, got it reconnected. All right, the car is set for a few minutes. We'll fire it up and hopefully it gets kind of reset. And of course, we'll wait for that check engine light to go away. It takes about 30 seconds. There it goes. It's interesting, it even changed the sound of the engine, so you could tell it was having to pull timing because it's probably running a little bit lean. So now if we reset the ECU, it should be giving a little bit more of a pulse. Wow. Oh my god, that sounds so good. This is torture. I can't get it out and drive it with the rain and I have no wheels. This sucks. I need to get out there. Good, no check engine light, no issues. So we're good there. So in case you're wondering, yes, I am gonna get the engine tuned to compensate for the fact that it does not have cats now. We're gonna do that soon, probably sometime this next week. Stay tuned for that. We're gonna have to wait until tomorrow, or actually we're gonna have to wait for a few days to get the tires back on the car so we can go take out for a drive and really hear what this sounds like. So, all right, well, we'll be back in a day or two.
Eventually.
Good morning, YouTube. So it's been about a week since the last time I saw you, and I've gotten my wheels. So you can see my wheels are in. They look amazing, and I've run into a problem. With the current situation going on in the global economy, I have no idea when I'm gonna get tires. The tire place basically said they don't know what's going on, and tire shipments are all being messed up, and I don't know. So it sounds like it's gonna be weeks until I have tires. Originally, the plan was that I was gonna go drive the car and get some epic sounds of the car and do some flybys and all that sort of fun stuff. And obviously without wheels and tires, well, without tires, yeah, it's not really gonna happen. So I'm just gonna fire it up again, record some more sound, because I actually edited all the way up until this point, and I wasn't pleased with how the sound came out because I forgot to turn on the decibel limiter, so it kind of clipped the mic. I'm gonna record it again, use the decibel limiter. It should get some better, more accurate sound of what this car actually sounds like, so you guys can actually hear it. And then I promise you, as soon as I actually have tires, and technically I'm not even supposed to leave the house because we're under like, you know, stay-at-home orders or whatever in our city. When I can, I promise you, we will do some cool stuff so that you can really hear this car. For now, I hope you enjoy this. So let's fire this sucker up. We'll get a cold start. We're gonna let it warm up, and then I'm gonna rev it to 9,000, and we at least get to hear that. Sound like a deal? Okay. Just like before, we've got the microphone sitting 5 feet from the back of the car, and now I'm gonna turn on the decibel limiter so it should get a more accurate sound. I'm also gonna set the microphone further back so it doesn't clip as much. Warm idle, and we're just waiting for the temperature to come up so we can actually rev it. Yeah, it's not too bad when you're in the car. It's pretty decently loud behind it. It sounds so good. I kind of got to do that again. I think my neighbors are going to kill me, but it was 126 decibels. Oh, it sounds so good. It seriously sounds so good. Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's pretty loud. I am so pleased. It's not even funny. I don't even know what to say right now. It's so awesome. It sounds like an F1 car. It legit screams like an F1 car. And it's got this deep growl when it comes down. And like when you hear that thump, you can feel it in your chest. Oh my God. I can't wait. Oh my God. I can't wait to be out of quarantine and go to Cars and Coffee. We're gonna have to have a rev off. Chris and I are gonna have to rev off. We need to see how many decibels his is. I think it's gonna be very similar. I'm gonna dyno this thing. We're gonna see how much horsepower it gets. This is the shit. Okay, all of you that have a 458, you need an S-line exhaust. Seriously, it's so epic. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. It's so good. It's so good. I'm speechless. I guess go to bit.ly/NGS-S-line and buy an exhaust. That's what you got to do it. You have to do it. The S-line exhaust sounds epic on the 430. It sounds epic on the 458. It sounds epic on the 360. As I said, I will get this car out on the road. We'll get some acceleration runs, and it's going to sound even better under load. Oh my God, it's going to sound so good under load. I can't wait. That will be coming soon. I promise you, as soon as I actually have tires, as soon as I can actually drive somewhere. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that's kind of the sound you think sounds good on these Ferraris. I know I do. That's exactly how I always imagine Ferraris are supposed to sound. It's that high-pitched, screaming, wailing sound. Yes. Finally. I finally feel like my 458 is mine. Like, this is exactly what I wanted out of this car. So, all right, enough talking. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of car stuff coming your way. I'm gonna do my best to produce some cool content, even though we're on quarantine. We'll do some cool stuff. Trust me. We got some cool stuff coming. Stay tuned. It's gonna be sweet.